Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack the core ideas from some of history's most complex thinkers and give you a real shortcut to understanding them.
And today, we're tackling an absolute giant.
Arguably the single most influential architect of human thought, Aristotle.
It's just impossible to avoid him. You study science, philosophy, theology, you eventually hit a foundation he built. In the Islamic world, they called him the Mulimi Evil,
That's the first teacher.
the first teacher. Because his work on logic, it basically structured how entire civilizations thought about knowledge for, what, 2,000 years?
An incredible legacy. So our mission today isn't to cover all of that. We're zooming in on the starting point.
The entry point to his whole system, the Organon.
Specifically, the very first part of it, the categories, or categoriae.
We're using some translated excerpts, some historical commentary, and we're really just trying to uncover his framework. Think of it as the original filing system for all of reality.
Before you can argue, before you do science, you need this map.
You have to agree on what kind of thing you're even talking about.
Okay, so let's unpack that word you use, the organon.
Right.
It means tool or instrument. So why a tool? Why isn't his logic just another branch of science?
Well, that's the absolute genius of it. For Aristotle, logic wasn't a science in itself. It wasn't theoretical like physics or practical like ethics.
It was something you needed before you could do any of that.
Precisely. He called it the propedeutique, the necessary introduction to all the sciences, the instrument you had to master first.
The science of sciences, as it's sometimes called.
It's the instruction manual for your own mind.
But that brings up a massive philosophical question, right? Because he makes this incredible claim that the laws of being are the laws of thought.
Exactly. And this is what gives his logic so much weight. It's not just a set of rules for arguments.
It's a blueprint for reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
If how we think correctly actually mirrors how reality is structured, then, understanding logic is understanding the universe. It gives it this ontological character.
Which is a huge assumption. It basically says reality has to conform to our minds.
Well, his view was a kind of ultimate realism. Unlike Plato, who put all the perfect forms in some other realm.
Right, the world of forms.
Aristotle brought it all down to earth.
Mm.
He said the universal is found within the individual thing. Your mind is hardwired to see that as long as you use the right tool.
The organon.
The organon. And that's the challenge modern thought poses, right? If we develop new tools, new logics that go beyond his, what does that mean?
Have we just found a new way to describe the same old reality, or has our understanding of being itself changed?
It's a debate that's, like you said, lasted millennia.
And speaking of that, the global journey of this work is just incredible. The sources really stress that when Western Europe rediscovered Aristotle around the 12th century,
They weren't getting it directly.
not at all. They were often relying on these amazing commentaries and translations from Arab and Turkish scholars.
Who had kept the tradition alive and developed it for hundreds of years.
But that also means the transmission was messy. A lot of the criticisms you hear about Aristotle aren't even about him.
They're critiques of bad interpretations or later add-ons from so-called classical logic that got, mistakenly tacked onto his work.
So to avoid that kind of confusion, Aristotle starts at the very beginning.
He cleans up the language first.
Right. Before you can even get to the categories, you have to get your terms straight. He lays out 3 rules to stop people from, cheating with words.
It's the first line of defense against a sophist, just tying you in knots with ambiguity. So first up, homonyms.
Same name, completely different meaning.
Exactly. The source uses the example of calling a real man and a drawing of a man both animal. The word is the same.
But the definition, the essence, is totally different. One is a living creature, the other is just ink on a page.
Next are synonyms. This is the opposite. Same name and the same definition.
So if you call a man an animal and an ox an animal,
You're using the word animal to point to the exact same essence in both. A living, breathing creature. No ambiguity.
and the third one is a bit different. Paronyms.
Yeah, these are terms named after something else, usually with a different ending. So courageous comes from courage. Grammarian from grammar.
They derive their meaning from that root term.
Once all that's cleared up, he makes one more crucial distinction. He splits all expressions into 2 types.
First, you have connected expressions. These are full statements. The man is running.
And the key thing here is that only these can be true or false. It's a complete assertion.
The second type is unconnected expressions.
Just single words. Man, ox, running.
And on their own, these are neither true nor false.
They can't be. They're just data points, raw material. And it's these unconnected terms that the 10 categories are designed to classify.
And this is it, the bedrock of Western analytical thought. The famous 10 categories.
The fundamental classes of everything that is. We've got substance, quantity, quality, relation, where, time, position, having, action, and passion.
And it all has to start with the foundation. Substance. The ers.
Right. If you think of reality as a giant spreadsheet, substance is the unique ID for each row. It's the thing itself, and he splits it in two right away,
We have primary substance.
which is just the individual thing. This man right here, that horse over there. His technical definition is it's something that is neither predicated of a subject nor present in a subject.
Okay, let's break that down. What that means is, if we're talking about Socrates,
Right.
Socrates is the ultimate subject. You can say things about him, but he isn't a description of something else. He's just him, the individual,
Exactly. Then you have secondary substance,
which are the species and the genera.
the labels we put on the primary substance. So the species is man, the genus is animal. You predicate these of Socrates. Socrates is a man.
And Aristotle makes a really interesting point that the species man is somehow more substance than the genus animal.
Because it tells you more about the specific individual, it's closer to the primary reality of Socrates himself.
Now, here is the absolute key. The one defining feature of primary substance that you really have to lock in.
This is the big aha moment in the
Yeah.
text.
It's the only thing that can accept contrary qualities while remaining numerically one and the same thing.
Think about it. An individual person can be sick and then become healthy. They can be sitting and then stand up.
They get a tan, they go from pale to dark.
But through all that change, they remain the same single person. A quality like whiteness can't do that. A quantity can't do that. Only substance endures.
Okay, so after substance, we get to quantity. The nice like. This is all about measurement, right? How much, how many?
Again, he breaks it down. First, you have discrete quantity. Things like numbers or speech. The parts don't connect.
The number 5 doesn't physically touch the number 6.
Right. They're separate units. The opposite is continuous quantity. This would be a line, a surface, time, or space.
Where the parts do have a common boundary.
Exactly. The end of this second is the beginning of the next second. The past and the future meet at the boundary of the present.
And the rule for quantity, its unique feature.
It admits of equality and inequality. That's it.
Hmm.
You can say one line is equal to another or unequal. You can't say the quantity 5 feet has an opposite. It just is what it is.
Simple enough. Then we have quality, Nightlick. This is what tells you what kind of thing something is.
That by which something is said to be such as it is. And he gives us 4 kinds here.
First are habits and dispositions.
Habits are the long-lasting ones. Your knowledge of a subject, a moral virtue. Dispositions are temporary, easily changed.
Like being hot or cold or sick for a day.
The second, natural capacities. This is your innate potential, the ability to be a good runner or having a naturally strong constitution.
Third are the passive qualities or affections. These are things you sense.
Sweetness, bitterness, colors like black and white. And he makes a neat distinction here. If it's a lasting trait, like a person's temperament, it's a quality.
But if it's fleeting, like blushing from embarrassment.
Then it's just a temporary affection, a tisserleme.
And the fourth type is just figure and shape.
Is it triangular? Is it straight? And the rule for all, quality. It accepts similarity and dissimilarity. 2 things can be similar in color or dissimilar in virtue. So after those big 3, we get into the other 7 categories. These are sometimes called the accidents.
Because they happen to the substance. They exist in it, but they aren't its essence.
Right. And we start with relation or Gurlick.
This is anything whose very being is defined by being related to something else.
Like double only makes sense in relation to half. Master only makes sense in relation to slave.
These are correlatives. The relationship is always reciprocal. If you define one, you automatically define the other.
But the source points out a fantastic exception to this, and it involves time.
Ah, right. Most correlatives are simultaneous. Master and slave exist at the same time.
But the object of knowledge can exist before the knowledge itself. We can gain knowledge today about a star that died millions of years ago.
The knowable thing was there first. That's a great little detail.
It shows how carefully he was thinking about these edge cases.
So now the final 6. We can probably group these to make sense of them.
Absolutely. They all describe the substance's circumstances. You have where and time, which anchor it in space-time.
So in the Lyceum, yesterday,
Then you have position and having, or state.
position is about posture, right? Is sitting, is lying down.
And having is about what's on it. Has shoes on, is armed. It's about its external state.
And finally, the active-passive pair. Action and passion.
What the substance is doing, that's action. He cuts. What is being done to it, that's passion. He is cut.
And with that, the whole system is basically complete. You have the one essential thing, substance, and then 9 different ways to describe its accidents.
And the sources also point out, this led him to classify the 6 types of movement or change.
Generation and destruction.
Coming into being and passing away.
Increase and decrease.
Change in quantity.
And alteration and place change.
Change in quality.
Yeah.
And change in location. It's a system to classify every possible event.
Okay, so to cap it all off, Aristotle gives us one last tool. The 4 ways that things can be opposed to one another.
The 4 kinds of opposition.
The first one we've already mentioned, relativity.
Double and half. They're opposites, but they depend on each other for their very meaning.
Second is contraries. These are the true opposites. Good and evil, white and black.
And here he makes a brilliant logical split. Some contraries have no middle term.
Like odd and even, a number has to be one or the other. There's no in-between.
But other contraries, like white and black, do have a middle term. You have gray, you have all sorts of other colors.
So you're not forced into a binary choice.
Knowing whether there's a middle term or not changes the whole logical situation.
Third is privation and possession.
Sight and blindness.
And the key here is that this only applies where the possession is natural.
Right. You can't call a rock blind because a rock was never meant to have sight in the first place.
And the big consequence he points out is that this change is often a one-way street.
You can go from possession to privation. You can lose your sight. But you can't go from privation back to possession. The blind man can't just decide to see again. It defines an irreversible change.
And that brings us to the 4th and final type, the absolute peak of his logic here.
Affirmation and negation. He is sitting versus he is not sitting.
Why is this one so special?
Because it's the only one of the 4 where it is always necessary that one statement is true and the other is false. The law of the excluded middle.
No exceptions.
No exceptions, even if the subject doesn't exist. If Socrates is dead, the statement Socrates is sick is false, which means the negation, Socrates is not sick, has to be true.
That guaranteed true-false split is what makes it the only reliable foundation for formal scientific proof.
He isolated the one structure that gives you logical certainty.
So let's bring this all together. What does this ancient list, the categories, really mean for you, the listener, today?
Well, it's not just some historical curiosity. It's the original mental scaffolding that allowed for clear, rigorous thought.
It's the blueprint for how we classify things.
Everything from modern linguistics to how we structure databases, even early AI, owes a debt to this. It ensures that when you and I use a word like quality, we mean the same thing. We aren't arguing past each other.
We started out by saying Aristotle believed the laws of being are the laws of thought. And this system is the proof of that. I mean, it created a coherent worldview for 2 millennia.
But, as we also touched on, modern math and logic have gone places he never imagined. Non-Aristotelian systems.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to take away.
If the laws of being really are the laws of thought, does the success of these new non-Aristotelian systems mean that our understanding of being itself has fundamentally expanded?
Or does it just mean we've found new, maybe even artificial, but very powerful tools to describe the same old underlying reality he first mapped out?
Something to think about.
If you want to dive even deeper, a great next step is the sea battle problem from his next work on interpretation. It deals with future events and truth.
A fantastic puzzle.
For now, thank you for joining the deep dive.